consciousness, the final frontier. These are the voyages into the universe between your ears. Our mission: to explore collective wisdom, seek out amazing secrets, and spread the message of personal potential.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this voyage on the universe between your ears. I am Tim C. Starr, joined by my number one, Mr. Gabi Musheyev. Say hello, Gabi.
Hello to everyone. I don't know about number one, but they're steering this ship, I think, everyone the way we can, right? And sometimes it goes in the right direction.
Yeah. All right, so we're on a voyage with no particular destination today. So we have a guest, the lovely Miss Chelsey Jackson, joining us, and she's got a podcast that we're going to talk about, and she's into a lot of the same sorts of universe concepts that we're into, and co-creating ideas and things like that. And so I think we just decided to wind this thing up and let it go and see where it takes us.
We're co-creating this voyage together.
Absolutely. Chelsey, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you.
And, I was just starting to think about how we got connected in the first place. I know it was on Facebook through one group or another.
The podcast group.
Okay, is the Cut the Bullshitters?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so we got connected. I had a phone call and said this would be fun to have a conversation. So here we are, and we're going to unleash this on the world at some point. And let's just see what happens. So tell us about your podcast. I know you're brand new with this, just starting out. Where are you going with it? You have plans?
It's absolutely brand new. So it's about speaking one's truth. So right now, the one episode I have is living your greatness. So how do we, step into our greatness and live that? And it's really about speaking one's truth. So how can we own that truth? How can we be in our power and be able to speak through from, our heart center versus always our heads, our mentality that's always all our thoughts that are always going on, and really learn to speak through our heart. So I'm completely new at it. This is new to me. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So what's the name of the podcast?
It is called, Star of the Soul. I'm sorry.
Trick question, I know.
Yeah.
So I like that, especially since my last name, Star of the Soul.
And I named it that because it's a one-girl show right now. So I'm the star, and it's the Soul Star Show.
Cool. So what made you decide to do that? How did you just wake up one day and say, starting a podcast? Or what's the motivation?
Right. Well, really to share my knowledge and just be of value, be of greater service and connect with other like-minded people like yourself and others who want to also share the same kind of knowledge too, and co-create different things.
Okay. If I remember right, you're into the Abraham-Hicks materials?
Yeah.
Okay. We are too. So
cool.
That's, it's a good place to start from. How did you get into Abraham-Hicks?
I started listening to her on YouTube, and then I got to see her live 3 years ago. That was really great. I saw her in Seattle, and it was really, it was on my bucket list. It was really mind-opening, and just, it was real. It was surreal.
Yeah, it's a different thing. I haven't been to any of the workshops, but I saw her with Wayne Dyer, that conversation they had, and that was really cool. So, all right. So where do we go with this? How let's ask this. What is it about let's back up. This is not great radio right now, but so let's give the
Can some of this be edited? Or
maybe.
Is this just straight? Maybe
okay. if you pay enough money. Okay. But so give the audience your take on Abraham. What draws you to that stuff and or keeps you there and
Right. Well, I resonate with her work because she talks about creation, really. So how are we creating our realities? Which I would like to say it's through thought, So we're all creating our realities through thought, whether we know we are or not. And I'm all about, creating. And so she resonates with me. I really do enjoy listening to her work.
Did you come to that conclusion prior to stumbling into them? Or the creating, we create our own universe and through thought and that, or did that come more through them?
She was one of my first teachers that I came across, and so she kind of opened up my mind to learning about more things, and then through that I was able to find my own truth really within, so things that I teach and would like to more fully pursue one day to be able to teach more. I've learned through my own experience and is what I hope to share maybe a little bit of with you guys today. So,
absolutely. Yeah. You want to start there with something now, or should we work into it?
Whatever, wherever you want to go with it.
We warned you it was unscripted. So,
okay.
Why don't we do that? Gabi, unless you had a particular question you want to ask right now, or?
Well, I really...
We could just force her to do a tap dance for the audience right now. And
I'm on a positive vibration that came from you, Chelsey, because when Tim asked you what made you decide to do a podcast, your answer was kind of like, why not? It's like easy going, right? It's easy to make a decision, and you have something of value to share. Let's go, right?
That's right.
Why overthink it? And
exactly.
This is exactly, it made me smile because, I just felt such ease and optimism, and I think that there's great energy there.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. I would do the same. Like, why not? Most of the things we do is like, starting to overthink things, right? I got something to say. So,
yeah, well, that's the thing too. And I would start just talking about this kind of stuff in my everyday, and I'm like, you know what? Why aren't I sharing this with more people? And it's kind of a process to get there, for sure. You guys have probably found out too, but it's all worth it, and we get to meet more people like ourselves, and
yeah, you have a wide audience, I think, already, right? Friends, I'm sure. Because you're very engaging when you speak. I think that it's just kind of natural for you just take it online now and open it up for wider people.
Well, and like you mentioned earlier, technology, like why not use it? Technology is huge nowadays and everything's going online. So we might as well get on that train too.
I watched one or two of your videos on your Facebook page, and I had that same experience that Gabi just mentioned. One of them just made me smile. I think you were just sort of saying the universe loves you, and it's all good.
Yeah. Universe loves you. You're cool. Everything is good. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's true. It's always what we tell ourselves is what we what we create and what's true to us, right? A truth is only a truth if we're telling ourselves it's true.
So all right, let's give us your story. What's the journey that brought you to this point where you want to do this?
Good question. Well, through my own life experience, absolutely, for one, and where, I would just find myself in even just day jobs, like a 9-to-5, and just constantly thinking about this universal component of what's really going on here. There's more to this day, there's more to this life, there's more to the people I'm interacting with. So, and just always having kind of that universal thought in the back of my mind constantly, and so just wanting to move towards that, right? And through my own experience, just realizing that I do have value to share, and so I have to share it. Nothing's holding me back but myself, and sometimes it's my own fear that sets in, and our own doubts and our own fears that get in the way, and really we're only blocking ourselves. So we have to learn ourselves to step over that.
Right. Well, that's always the truth, right? For all of us. The only thing that really truly holds any of us back is our own perceptions.
Yeah.
Whatever our own beliefs about stuff. So, all right. So no big. All right. I got into this stuff because my mother shared these things with me because she was looking for answers her whole life, and she shared with things with me when I was in my teens, and I started consuming this stuff because it was interesting, and I didn't put any particular effort into, oh, I got to change my life, anything like that. I wasn't thinking in those terms. And what happened to me was that much later on in life, I realized that these ideas had stuck. And so I wasn't being affected by, I didn't feel victimized by things that were happening to me. And, when I questioned why that was, then it pointed back to these ideas. And so I'm just wondering if that's been kind of your experience too, and you're realizing it much earlier than I did, or, was there some other path for you? Did you have something, an aha moment or something, or?
Right. Well, I did start out pretty young, so I, went through a phase where I had no idea what to do with my life, and as we all go through some kind of phase like that, and I knew somewhere along the line that there was a greater answer, and so I went searching for answers, and there was one day where I just remember being like, you know what, like whoever's out there, whatever, like I've never been religious, but who's ever out there right now listening, whatever there is, just show me the way because I give up. And I came to that point where I don't even know what to do now. Like I need to be shown. Something has to happen. A miracle has to happen. And it was either that evening or the next morning, I came across a YouTube video that said, anything your mind can believe you can achieve. And I think it was ever since that day, and I don't even go on YouTube. It was just, I was on the computer and I think the ad popped up about it. And it was ever since I saw that, it was like a 4-minute video. And it had like some visions, like visuals kind of across the screen. It just had these words like whatever you can believe or whatever your mind can believe you can achieve. And I watched it for 4 minutes and I said, this was the miracle I asked for. I didn't know it at the time. Like a few months later, looking back, I was like, that was the miracle I asked for. So ever since that, I went just on this new journey learning about how powerful our minds are, really. And that was for me now about six years ago.
All right.
That's an exciting, like when you start believing it, right? Whatever you think you could achieve. When you start actually believing it, right? That shift. That was very exciting to realize, right? You kind of sort of like, really? You could actually practice it and see. And that's what they say, like, don't believe me, go and practice and see for yourself, right?
Yeah. When you start to see the evidence is when you...
That's exactly what we did, right? And when you see this, it's hard to explain to people back in, a different camp. That it actually works.
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't even like, for a lot of people I've heard, they've come across The Secret first, the movie, and I didn't even see that till probably 6 months down the road. I was just kind of taking everything in I could from YouTube videos, and then that was when I probably came across, I think, Abraham, and I didn't see The Secret till months later, and it was shifting in so many ways. So
I haven't seen it yet, beginning to end.
You've never seen it?
I've seen big chunks of it. The chiropractor I used to go to would have it on all the time, and so I would catch a lot of it, but I've never seen it.
You will be bored to
It's on my, that's the thing. It's on my Netflix list right now, so I got to be able to do. I need to check it off. I feel that need.
You are in this stuff so much. You know all this by heart. Everything would seem like, oh my God, this is like I would stuff that you're repeating because they repeat a lot.
They do repeat a lot, and it's a little bit outdated. They talk about like gratitude and appreciation, but I think it's really the foundations of someone who is first, like, what is all this stuff? I think it's a great video, but if you've already been in the teachings for a while, it might be a little bit just kind of a refresh almost.
Yeah, a little elementary.
I watched it thinking that, wow, at the time it made a big, impact, right? But we moved on. Like, we really progressed, and this knowledge is really like 101 now, right?
Yeah.
Well, it is for us.
Yeah.
I still run into people all the time. They're just like, they've never heard of The Secret. They don't. Law of attraction. What's that? You know, we tend to, I think, because when you associate with other people who are into the stuff, and you kind of have that circle of people, and everybody is talking the same things. We tend to just assume that everybody is on the same page, and they're just not. And so,
absolutely,
you know, there's tons of people out there.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we really like attract what it is we put out, right? So like, it's easy to, once we know the stuff, to attract those other people. But I mean, when we're kind of already there, we already think people are thinking that way. But there's such a big society that is not, you know, that really is just even unaware of just, you know, the act of gratitude even. And it's actually amazing. Like, there's just so much. So I guess that kind of moves me to the next part, is like, how can something like this get out to more people? Because it's really, like, it's life-changing, you know, if 75% of the world just even knew the simple idea of, you know, we're creating our reality, like, imagine what kind of world that would be, you know?
Yeah.
I think the first step towards that is disconnect your TV. Disconnect the negativity stream. That's the first condition, I think. But, you know,
can I ask you, what's your take on news then? You probably don't watch it.
I have my selective news sources,
right?
Trusted news sources that I know are not manipulated and are not propaganda. Whatever propaganda, you know, corporate, government, whatever, any special groups propaganda. So special interests or whatever. And I support those sources. I actually support those. And I know that they're not running on any corporate money or any entity, but are simply supported by the public, by us.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing I watch, honestly.
Absolutely.
Sometimes for entertainment, I'll watch something ridiculous just to laugh at it. You know? It's amusement, you know, in amusement. But you're talking about attracting people, that we attract those, you know, people who understand about this, right?
Yeah.
We were sitting at the bar the other day, having a drink, and there was a girl, maybe 25, at the bar working on her laptop. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was not typical that we would find ourselves in the bar at 11 a.m. in the morning. But we just felt like going there. And so suddenly, and I noticed that. I was like, look at that. People could work at the bars too. You know, maybe I should bring my laptop. And
I thought it was Starbucks. Come on, who's going to the bar at 11 a.m.?
Full bar, and we were having cocktails.
So we're learning things, Chelsey, about
It was like, wow, you know, that's a creative idea. Work at the bar, right? Why not? So anyway, somebody opened this big glass door, and a draft, like a stream of air, brought a napkin from her seat right in our direction, and just it fell between us. And so she saw it, and she gets up and she goes out to get that napkin. And of course, she needs to go down and pick it up, and it would put her in an uncomfortable position. And so she said, "Excuse me," and she kind of got the napkin, right? Whatever. And then she lifts up, and we see her eye contact, and she's about to go back, and we're telling her, "Hey, the napkin flew here. The universe is giving us a sign. We need to meet you." You know?
Right.
And you know, all three of us are laughing because she immediately understood what we were talking about. We can attract.
She understood.
Yeah. The law of attraction, you know.
Right.
So we are alert to these interesting signs, you know, and we can attract it. And from there was an amazing, engaging conversation, and it's all very fulfilling for us all. Just so
you know, like. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. So it's like when we start becoming aware of just these subtle little signs in our life, like, hey, no matter what happens, we're attracting this, we're creating this, whatever it is. So there must be something in this, right? So maybe you were supposed to meet that girl for whatever reason.
And also in my mind is, why would I be in the bar at 11 o'clock?
Yeah, I questioned that too.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have been at Starbucks.
Did I somehow, and why did I get inspired to do this? Maybe I was supposed to meet this person, and I wouldn't meet
Absolutely.
them any other way.
I think she called you in there.
So did you get her number?
Yes, of course.
Oh, good. Yeah, so just becoming aware of just these small things that, like, I mean, seemingly small, but really anything can happen and it can turn into anything, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely don't know.
And you're having fun with it.
And that's the thing. The universe has so many viable means. And so we just have to be open to, in the receptive mode of allowing the signs to come to us, right? It can be the conversation with the barista at Starbucks or in the drive-thru or, you know, the bartender at the bar, you know, in your case at 11 or having breakfast. So it's amazing. You know, I mean, the universe always has so many.
I think more than being open
plans.
to it, I think we have to be looking for it. You know, because you could be open to it and just not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But if that thing comes along, you gotta click. You know,
as long as you're inspired to look for it, it's not as long as
it's just a distinction, I guess. It's one thing to be like, okay, I'm open to whatever the universe wants to bring me. Let's see what happens. But then if you, I don't know, you got to kind of be trained. It's like looking for opportunities. It's, you know, I talk about a lot is, you know, if you're just focused on fixing the problem that you've got, opportunities are all over the place. And you could be saying, well, I'm open to somebody having an answer for me. But if you're not actually looking for it, you won't.
Remember we were interviewing the Napoleon Hill guy?
Yeah. Greg
Reed. He said exactly that. You know, entrepreneurship, it's about being open to opportunities and seeing them. Seeing the opportunities, right? When they occur, you know, if you're so focused on your task for getting from point A to point B, and that's all you see, you're not going to see that there are alternate ways there that the universe presents, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I go on a trip somewhere. The initial idea was to go somewhere. So there was a set idea, I need to do something, right? And then along the way, a thought pops up, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a great, why wouldn't I stop by there, right? Or something just made me think, okay, that, you know, I really want to go there for some reason. I would just change my mind and go, because I'm thinking, okay, something must be waiting there for me.
So that's the other thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had a plan in mind, or a thought will come to mind, okay, I have to go to this place. And then it might be the grocery store or, oh yeah, I have to go to that place and go get this. And along the way, I will then pass something or see a sign or see something where I'm like, whoa, I totally forgot about that. Or I just suddenly have a instinctual instinct. I have to go there, you know? And then after I go there, I receive from the universe whatever it is. And then I don't even have to go to the original grocery store or where I was originally going, you know? And the universe works like that all the time too.
Right.
We just have to be open to seeing those signs.
The other camp, those people, they don't believe it. They're too pragmatic. They're too pragmatic. I know my family members they don't believe that these things are happening. You know, and it's hard to. I mean, no, I came from those circles, so I know how hard it would have been to convince me.
Yeah.
So, for sure. Yeah.
Well, you know, there are some people who, no matter what you show them in their own lives, you point it out to them as they're doing it, they're still going to deny that it's possible, right? But I think that the strongest thing for people is if you can show them how they are creating for themselves, you know, and then give them, if you can get them to listen, you know, give them a little challenge, a little test to go do on their own and see what kind of evidence they can create for themselves. You know, that goes, because we can't, it's the whole, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink thing. And, you know, we can tell people all day long that this is how it works, but if they don't want to believe it, they're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
But if it happens on their own, in their own lives, you know, it's more likely. But they also have to be we got to sort of point it out for them. Hey, pay attention.
You need to let them be. I mean,
Yeah, maybe we can talk about, so how can one, so maybe someone listening to this later on replay, maybe how one can be more of a light for someone. Maybe someone has someone in their life that, doesn't understand where they're coming from sometimes, from a universal aspect of things, and exactly what we're talking about, all these things. So how can one, be an example of that? And
well, how do you create, Chelsey? How do you create? What's your kind of magic?
Right. So
say
through
you want something, maybe something big, or maybe something small, whatever you want. Right?
So,
I mean, what's your method?
Okay, so through our thoughts and as well through our emotions. Our emotions are the ultimate attractor in the entire universe. So how are we feeling about this thing that we think we want, right? For any reason we want anything is because we think it's going to bring us happiness. So if we can be happy now in our everyday life. Yeah, thank you. I love you guys too. So if we can be happy right now with what we have, meaning being grateful and appreciating and just being genuinely happy, then ultimately we can have anything we want. And it's through our happiness, our feeling of happiness is where we can then attract more that we are wanting.
But if we're truly happy, then we don't really even care if we get what we think we want.
But that's the funniest thing, is when we're happy, we're going to get it anyway. It's just, by that point, it's undeniable. So it's not even a question of whether we can have that or not,
What about people who have a different disposition, since childhood? They're kind of sort of like sad people, and they tend to have a lot of regrets and analyze what they did wrong, and all these people.
Absolutely. That's, and we've all had a childhood, right? We've all been through things.
I've met some people, I'm not so sure. So they went straight to adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's being able to believe in ourselves, just one, believing in themselves that they can do better, even just doing something better today than maybe they did yesterday. That's all it takes. It's just one step in a better direction today is going to create a better tomorrow, right? If we just continually live the same day every day, focusing on the problems or things that are going wrong or complaining about the same things day in, day out, well, that's what we're going to continue to create. So just a simple different outlook or switch of an aspect of something, where we can see maybe a positive or be grateful for something in it, you'll slowly move towards a better feeling experience, really.
Or you could go faster if you hang out with positive people like us, because we're going to take you there, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well,
these podcasts are amazing. I'm telling you, sometimes they're so uplifting. We're listening to Abraham clips practically every day, and there's so much material, and other folks as well, and you kind of track them. Sometimes I just open my feed and just the right video appears, and I just listen to it and feel good, and another way, just
I'm subscribed to a channel on YouTube, so every time on that channel a video is uploaded, I get it. And it just, because I'm only subscribed to the one channel, there's an Abraham video maybe once or twice a day, and it's like exactly what I need to hear at that exact moment that I open it. It's perfect.
So that just adds to what the point made earlier, right? Cut the negative feed and increase the positive feed, right?
Well, and then surround yourself with, like, exactly like you said, people that are on that like vibration, or people who are, you always want to actually surround yourself with even someone who has something that you want, because in witnessing that and observing that and being around that, then you start to become that.
This is better investment than medical insurance.
I don't buy insurance for nothing unless it's like a necessity to drive my vehicle. I do not believe in insurance.
Happy people don't get sick.
No. When you believe how strongly we all do, we don't get sick. We don't need it.
So let's go back around.
And I'm not giving any medical advice or nothing.
Yes.
I'm not saying don't buy insurance. It's important. We live in a physical world.
Talk to your attorney first.
Yeah.
So I want to go back around to what you were suggesting earlier, Chelsey, about showing being a light for somebody. What were you saying? And then when Gabi jumped in and asked about what was your process for creating, you were making a suggestion about for people who would be listening later. Did we all forget it?
Okay, so I said through our thoughts, what we're thinking. So that also includes what the kind of pictures that we're putting in our thoughts, in our minds. So, vision boards does not create, but vision boards, the purpose of that is to actually help you see these things that you know you can achieve one day. So to even just have those pictures, like pictures on your bathroom mirror, something you're going to see every day, actually putting it on a board, pictures by where you put your keys before you walk out the door or on your door, anything like that. So just visuals that are going to remind you what you're wanting to achieve, what you're wanting to move towards. And it's not necessarily only the thoughts. You just can't, visualize that and think that 24/7 and you're going to get it. And then what does it feel like to have that? So you see that picture, you're walking out the door, you're reminded of, oh yeah, that house that I want one day, you're reminded of that visual. So then how does that make you feel living in that? As you're walking out your door, imagine yourself walking out the door in that house, That's a great way how to start bringing things about in your life and creating things that you want that you don't yet have.
Okay. I don't think that's addressing what I was asking, but I don't think any of us remembers what you were starting to talk about earlier. So that's all right.
No, imagining. That's how you create. I mean, I think I followed exactly. And dreaming about it, and kind of get out of your way, right? And that's another thing, just not to dwell on it if you don't have it, right? Kind of think of it and imagine it, and then kind of go away, right? The creation starts, the momentum went on, and then do your thing about like the boards and stuff. If I see, for example, that something, it doesn't matter what it is, really invokes a positive emotion in me, right? I take a note, and that's what Abraham taught me, right? I take a note, consciously, noticing, okay, this made me feel good. And so journaling, right, and writing down, okay, I had this reaction, my emotion was very positive, and increase the presence of those things in your life, right? It could be even like faces of people. I have some movie stars who when I look at them, I just can't stop smiling, for example, right? And why not look at them more often?
Right. Yeah. If it evokes a positive emotion, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Harvest good and happy emotions.
That's right. We got to be happy if we want more things that we think is going to bring us happiness. That's really the key,
Yeah.
That's the answer. If we can be happy in seemingly any situations or circumstances that we think we're going through, and we can find a reason to be happy or just have a better feeling emotion, then we know we're moving towards or away from what we think is going wrong, towards something better.
And that's really, to me, that's the key, right? Is just being aware of the process, the journey, for a lot of different reasons. But one, just to the point you were just making, Chelsey, is that if you're aware that you are moving in the right direction, you're going to feel better about where you're at in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're aware, okay, I'm not staying in this cesspool of whatever. I'm moving out of that. I'm moving forward. I'm moving towards something better. Even if I don't end up with what I think I want, I'm moving towards something else.
Yeah, and don't dwell on the circumstance that is happening that you think is bad, because really it's not, all it is it's showing us something that we don't want, which means that we know we want something better for ourselves. So really it's all good. It's all good. And it is the journey, it's one step along the way, nothing changes overnight. It's not suddenly going to be, bam, I have everything I want. That's just not the way it is. It's a constant evolution. It's a constant creation of life.
Right. Yeah, well, it's the same as if you're in a crappy place, you didn't get there overnight either. that was a process too.
Yeah. And we created
even
that.
Even if it may seem like you got there overnight, there were a lot of things that you did and took part in that set it all up. 20 years of exercise, of effort to have this overnight thing happen. It didn't just happen overnight.
And the crappy place is useful too, because remember, right? Because this is how we receive information. Data is what's important for, right? You're getting the data because it gives you clarity what you want, right? It gives you a little more clarity. Okay, I don't want that.
This is where I get picky about stuff, is because we got data all the time, and people that are just generally miserable, they're looking at that data, and that data is reinforcing their belief that life is hard. Things are tough.
Well, the mindset important, right? You could be looking at the data and, not extracting the value from that data.
Exactly. You got to change the program.
You're dwelling on it.
Change the program.
Magnifying it. The momentum is magnified, right?
Yeah.
When you look at it and it's like really become present and disassociate yourself from that information, right? And whatever life situation, right? And you take it for what it is, a life situation, and it's interesting. And you look at all the factors and without any blaming or whatever, and you start thinking, okay, what can I extract from this? What opportunities sometimes? Sometimes one of the most interesting things from Abraham was that sometimes the shortest way for the universe to get you where you want to go is the shortest way. Goes through some contrast, goes through some trouble. But it's the best jump you could make, right? It's just easier to get there than go, around South America, to get to the West Coast. Now, maybe there's a Panama Canal, but you have to pay a little more, right?
Right.
It's called crisis.
Well, yeah. And the easiest...
a little pain, but look, you're going to get there much faster.
And the easiest way to know that you are making an improvement is, you can change a thought in an instant, right? If you can change your thought, you can change anything in your reality. So, it's just changing the thought to have a more positive feeling emotion, and you've already done so much in the universe that, you're still in the exact same position that you think you were a minute ago before you had that thought, but just moving in that constant direction towards something better is an improvement. And it's an improved feeling, is what Abraham says. Yeah. But it really is. And I've noticed too, in my own life that it's true. Like, just a more positive feeling brings about something, and then something happens and I'm like, wow, like, that probably wouldn't have happened if I was still complaining about that other thing that happened yesterday, So it's cool. And then start to realize these manifestations that are happening in your life is really amazing.
Well, the stuff is happening all the time, right? We're just not looking for it.
Yeah. And then acknowledging, wow, like, I created that, I did that. Yeah. Wow. Just a simple acknowledgement. And then you reinforce the universe as well to give you more of that, Wow, I created that wonderful thing. I wonder what more the universe has in store for me.
Say wow again.
Wow. Wow, universe.
You got to use this in the promo. That's all you need.
I'm just sitting here smiling, listening to you talk.
I'm really enjoying this. This is totally new to me, and I'm having a lot of fun. So this is really great.
Glad to hear it. That's that's what that's first thing out of your mouth today, right? Was you got to be happy, and you got to have some fun. And
that's right. That's what life is all
here
about.
Is if it's not going to be an enjoyable conversation, then what's the point? So yeah.
And people feed off positive energy too. It's people can tell if you're coming from a negative place or a positive place, even in just like your everyday life. People can tell. People pick those kind of things up, and So what kind of vibe are you giving off? And that's also what you're attracting. And you can also notice in the people in your life, how are they seemingly reacting to you, or how are you reacting to them, right? Because you're attracting them.
That's sometimes difficult, but you can look at the people in your life and see what kind of people they are, because that will tell you a lot about maybe not who you are in the moment, but about who you have been.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And because there's
You're
the
right.
whole, like, Abraham's big on momentum lately, and I really like that idea, because there's, we've done stuff that has been building up momentum for years, and suddenly shows up. You're having a great day, everything's perfect, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and bam, something happens, and it's like, well, I didn't create this. How could I have created this? This is all a bunch of crap. Well, the reality is it came from back there somewhere. You created it somehow, and just today is the day it chose to arrive for some reason.
Right. And even in those situations, hey, it's all okay. If I can think something a little bit more positive right now, then I'm creating a better later or a better tomorrow, and it's all okay.
Yeah, what I try to keep in mind is that, in Abraham speak, contrast, which for anybody who's unfamiliar with this stuff, we're really just talking about anything that you experience that you would rather not be experiencing. I think the reason that this stuff happens is because it's just an opportunity for us to learn something if we want to. If we want to look for it, whatever has just happened to you, there's a lesson in there somewhere of some kind. You don't have to learn it. It's not that you're supposed to learn it. If you don't learn it today, if it's important, it'll come back around in a different form, and you'll get another opportunity to check it out. But I think that mindset of saying, okay, this just didn't happen to me and life took a crap on me. For some reason, there's something here for me to if I want to dig in and look for it, there's a lesson to be learned. But I think people need to understand also, it's okay for you to pass those up. You don't always have to go looking for that lesson. Because
Right.
it's we all have our own paths and our own choices, and
But also, it
good.
may not be that there was a lesson, right? It might be just the universe kind of pushing you off that path because it wasn't productive, and
but isn't that a lesson?
No, well, I guess you could say that, but I mean, it's not to learn anything; it's just to take it into account and change direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's a lesson in some form or another. It's whether we want to learn from it or not. Then it's our own lesson, and it is only if you can notice it, it's meant for you and no one else. The lesson that you do learn from that, and it's a reason to grow from, to learn from, to grow from.
People who hear these things sometimes, they hear, so many people, like, everything happens for a reason. I hear that in a certain way, and to me, the only reason for everything happening is that it's an opportunity there if you want to go looking for it. It tends to come across as if they're saying it's happening because you need to learn something, or you're supposed to change something. I don't know if I buy that.
I can agree with that. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cliche now with everything happens for a reason, once upon a time, it was lots of people didn't believe that. So to say that, it was more of a positive feeling, emotion to think everything happens for a reason. But now it's almost that it's kind of like a sentence that's just so cliche that it kind of is what you were explaining is, is it really supposed to happen, or are we creating that so that we can learn something?
Yeah. But the point I was making really is just for anybody who may be hearing what we're saying right now and kind of getting that feeling. Like, oh, yeah, everything happens. Or, yeah, I just look at it. There's an opportunity. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. If you're listening to this still or watching us, then there's something in here for you, right? It's kept you here this long. There must be something. So maybe this is it, just that there's opportunity all over the place, and it's okay for you to not want to jump in with both feet on stuff and I'm going to change my life and tomorrow is going to be different. No, it won't be.
Mm-hmm. And when you do, sometimes fear will set in, and just be okay with that with yourself, even though if you don't want to do anything about today, something's happened and you can do something about it tomorrow, but just don't procrastinate too much on it. That's another thing, is procrastination is huge. We're constantly always saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, it's going to keep showing up unless you do something about it. So, acknowledge that it's there, and then make a decision today to do something about it today, even if it's just one small step to change it around or to make it a little bit better. Do something today, and then the next step will come tomorrow.
Hey, can I tell you a quick little story? How close are you to having to leave, Gabi?
About five.
Okay, so I'll tell this real quick.
Thanks. Yeah.
So there's a traveling salesman, and he's selling insurance, let's say. And he's traveling through the countryside, and he comes across a farm, and he turns up the gravel driveway. It's a long drive, and he comes up to the house, and it's middle of the day, and he's looking around. He doesn't see anybody. He gets out of the car, and he walks up the steps to the porch, and there's a hound dog laying on the porch. And the dog just kind of looks up at him. Okay, doesn't look dangerous. He's not moving. All right, so the guy knocks on the screen door. The farmer happens to be home. He answers the door. The guy introduces himself, tells him what he's there for. Farmer says, I've been thinking about getting me some of that. Let's you and I have us a talk. And so, Mrs. Farmer makes him some iced tea, whatever. They're sitting out on the porch having a conversation. And every few minutes, his dog just kind of, and it becomes kind of annoying and then worrisome. And the guy looks over at the dog, and then he says to the farmer, he says, is he okay? He looks like he's in pain. Farmer says, oh, he's just laying on a nail. And the guy says, well, why doesn't he get up and move? The farmer says, it don't hurt him enough yet. And that's what you were just talking about, Chelsey, is that's what we all do. We lay on our nail because we're familiar with the pain, but eventually it becomes too much. And that's when we move. That's when we do something about it.
That's right.
We all have our nails to lay on, and the best lesson we can learn is as soon as you feel the nail, get the hell up and go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like a sliver.
You
get a sliver from a piece of wood. Okay, one sliver, I can pull it out, but there's a lot more slivers in that block of wood. So do something about it today, so you don't have more coming to you tomorrow.
Yeah, getting proactive about things, and that really comes around to the idea of doing things and living with more intention versus just getting up and seeing what the universe has to show you today. All right, Gabi, you got to go.
Take care, you guys. Yep. Bye.
Right.
Bye. Take care.
See you next time. So, Gabi had a previous engagement he has to run out to. But so, that's something that I've been trying to be more consciously aware of in my own life is to be living with a little more intention and doing things that I'm thinking ahead. What is this going to bring me? Is this taking me in a direction I want to go? And am I going to be laughing at the end of this? Is it something I want to do?
And that's all it takes. Just the simple awareness, the simple acknowledgement, and really you got it all, Just like nothing happens overnight.
It really goes a long way. Goes a long way.
It does. The simple acknowledgement. Yeah. And
for anybody who some of these things might be new to, you don't have to change your whole life in order to feel like your life has changed.
Oh, not at all. No,
nothing has to change other than how you look at it.
Yeah.
So it is really that simple, but it's not necessarily easy because we've got all of these habits, all of these programs that we've been building and building for years and years and years that keep us looking at things in a certain way. And then our minds actually filter out stuff that doesn't match the programs, and so we keep reinforcing. But if you want... I have one more analogy with that, sure.
And then maybe we'll wrap things up soon. So it's like walking up a staircase. You take one step, okay, not that far, but you take 2 steps, and then you take 5 steps up the stairs. And before you know it, you look down at the bottom of the stairs, and you're like, wow, did I really come that far? And relating that in anything in your life that you're wanting to pursue or move towards, it's one simple step each day or each week to get to where you want to go. And eventually you look back on your life or at that point in your life and you go, wow, have I come far? And it didn't even seem like I did anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, for a lot of us, that one step is way outside the box, or can feel like it's way outside the box, outside the comfort zone.
Yes. But it doesn't even have to be.
It doesn't have to be. And your world can change from one step. And, you know, you gotta, maybe, I don't know if it always has to be pain, but certainly pain's the big motivator. But just have that desire, maybe, that you want to change things, and you know, just open yourself up to letting the universe bring you an idea, you know, or an opportunity. What can I do to get out of this rut? Whatever it might be. And then when something comes along that seems good, act on it.
Take action. That's right. Take the small step. And sometimes it's honestly, it seems so small. It's like, what is that going to do? But do it. If it brings you a positive feeling, emotion to do it, and then your next step will come. And it's literally walking up every step of the staircase to the top to get to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
On any subject.
That's a mic drop, I think.
Okay.
So, all right. So Chelsey, I know that you haven't got, you're really in the beginning stages of your business and things, and then the podcast and all that. Are you doing coaching also? Did I hear that?
Started a little bit. I mean, yeah.
Right. Any links you want to give out? Anything you want to tell people how to find you? If they want to connect with you, what should they do?
Yeah, probably at this point, my email address. Anyone can reach me through my email, and also Instagram would be a viable way. At this point, I don't have a website, nothing to search or, and I do have my podcast, so maybe that link.
All right. So we're going to keep those secret for right now, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll make sure that I have those, and we'll add those to the show notes. And,
sure.
We'll just make people listen to this whole thing and get it at the end.
Cool.
So, all right. Well, thank you. This has been fun. And
I've had so much fun.
I will let you go. Glad we finally got to do it, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, you bet. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Tim Starr. Thanks for joining me and Gabi on the universe between your ears. We really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little while. And we'd like to see you again. So be sure to subscribe wherever it is you're consuming the podcast from, whether it's YouTube or Stitcher or iTunes or whatever the hell else is out there. We want to see you again. We also want to hear from you. So let us know what you think of each episode. Let us know if you got an idea for a future episode that you think would be just killer. Absolutely, let us know. All right? Thanks again, and we will see you next time around. Bye-bye.